So, this activity, we are going to learn all about the parts and functions of a plant or a flower. And just like this girl here, I thought I'd borrow some sunflowers and a watering can from Mrs. Edwards, let's not tell her, and I'm going to show you the parts and functions of a plant. Okay, my whiteboard still isn't working, so I may be back and forth trying to click next and then come back to the camera and click next. And also, I'm really sorry about this projector light. I know it's right on my face. So now I've got the flower on my face now. Anyway, I know that you can keep concentrating and we can get through this together, okay? So, parts and functions of a plant. Okay, here we go. So, I'm going to use my flower to help you, but we can also look at this one on the board. Now, this is a sunflower plant, okay? So it's slightly different to the one on the board, but it's very, very similar, okay? And they're very pretty. Anyway, this yellow colour here, these things here, there's lots of them. And these are called the they begin with P, can you think? They are the petals, okay? They are the petals. The yellow things are the petals, the yellow things. They're almost like a little oval shape, really, like a little tear shape, okay? And they're the petals. Now then, here, they've almost cut the flower in half. Well, I can't do that with my flower, but we're just going to pretend that we're almost looking really, really close into here, into the centre of the plant. And that's called the anther, okay? When you go down, this big, long green thing here, can you see it here? What's that called? I'll give you a clue. It begins with a st. This long green thing here, it's usually quite thin and long. It's the stem. Stem. Well done. Okay. These things here, look. There they are. They're almost a bit like green petals, actually. So these are yellow petals. They're almost like the petal shape, but they're not there. The leaves, okay? Down there. And then there's also some up here, look, right at the top as well. Look, there they are. They're the leaves. And then down the bottom, now I don't have a bottom of the plants because these are just plastic, okay? So I can't see the bottom of them. But if you imagine in the garden, if these were to be planted in the soil like that, or into a plant pot like this, okay? In the soil underneath here, in here, would be the, what would they grow underneath the soil, in the soil underneath the plant? They're called the roots, you're right, okay? So underneath the flower here in the soil, this is a better picture of it, you can actually see there's like white little sprouts coming out underneath the plant and in the soil, and they're called the roots. Okay, the leaf, so remember, the leaves are here. There's the leaves. The leaves make food for the plant, and that makes from carbon dioxide in the air and sunlight. So carbon dioxide is in the air, and the plant makes food from the carbon dioxide in the air and the sunlight, okay? So that's what the leaves do. So they take the food from the air and turn it into food for the plant, okay? The petals, remember now the petals are here. And look, we've got a bumblebee now. There's a bumblebee and a butterfly all on this plant. So let's see what the bumblebee and the butterfly are there for. Petals, the yellow things, attract insects to the plant. Plants need insects to bring pollen they have collected from other flowers so that they can make seeds. Remember now, the pollen makes the seeds, and the seeds eventually at the end of their life cycle, the seeds will get blown away to make more flowers. Petals are bright colours to attract insects. I don't know about you, but in summertime, whenever I'm wearing a bright coloured top, and it is usually yellow, I always manage to have a bee near me, or I can hear the buzz of the bee. And that's why flowers are usually bright colours, to almost be waving at the insects to be like, hello, come and land on us so we can have your pollen from other plants. Okay, so that's why the petals are so beautiful, so that they can attract lots of insects to come and make pollen with them and share their pollen. Next slide. Okay, the roots. Now remember, I don't have roots on my flowers, but if they were in a plant pot like this, Or if they were in the soil, the roots are in the soil. They're white little sprouts there that go underneath the plant. Roots absorb minerals and water from the soil. The roots also help the plant anchor in the soil and stay upright. We don't want flowers like this. Okay, we want flowers upright. We want them nice and tall so they can have as much access to the sun and sunlight as possible. If they're on the floor, then that's just not going to be very good for them. They won't be able to have any food or anything. So that's why we've got our watering can, look, here. And we're watering the roots and watering the soil, so that way the plants can have all the healthy minerals in the soil and they absorb it up through the roots, okay? The stem. Now remember, the stem is that big, big, green, long, thin one there. That's the stem, okay? The stem transports water around the plant. It also holds the plant upright so it can get more sunlight. Okay, so if the roots, when we water our plant, let's give it a water. When I water the plant, okay, the roots absorb that water. So like a straw, they go and they absorb all the water and all the minerals. And the stem's job, this is the stem's job is to suck all the water up and transport it around the plant. Okay, so we'll send some to the petals and we'll send some to the anchor, okay, anther, sorry, and that's what the stem does, okay? It transports the water and shares it around the body. And like the roots, the stem helps keep the plant upright. We don't want the plant going, we don't want that. We want the plant nice and tall so it can have as much access to sunlight as possible. Okay, the anther. Now remember, the anther, we haven't really got anthers like this presentation shows, but we've just got to pretend that they're right in there and we just can't see them, okay? The anther contains pollen which brushes onto insects when they land on the flower. So look, there's the insects landing on the flower. We've got the bumblebee, the butterfly and the ladybird now. So the anther contains pollen which brushes onto the insects when they land on the flower. The pollen is moved by the insects from other flowers. So what we've got to pretend and what we've got to imagine is when an insect, like a bumblebee, like a butterfly and like a ladybird, when an insect lands on a flower, it's almost like they've got sticky shoes, and on their sticky shoes, pollen gets stuck to their shoes. And what happens is that the bee will go bzzz, will pick up some pollen and then go bzzz, and then take that pollen from this flower bzzz, to another flower, and that's how they share the pollen across all the flowers and plants, okay, just by landing on them and sharing the pollen. And remember, the pollen helps make seeds so that when the plant is big enough, the seeds will go on their own way and make their own plants. Okay, and that's it. That's the end of our presentation. So if you have any more questions about plants and the different parts and labels of a plant, then let me know. But I think your job now is to label a plant. You've got a couple of sheets, or you can draw your own flower and you can label it with all the parts that you've just learned. You can also write a couple of sentences explaining what each part does if you can remember them.